Hi folks, how you doing? Now, I'll go for a little while this way. Um, I've got an odd one. I haven't done this in a while, but I've done several live videos that haven't been processed yet. And when I do a live video, of course, I want to go back and do a write-up to go with it, something to put out there for scribed. I have subscribers there as well, and so I have some that don't come and watch the videos, and I know that I have some or many that watch the videos but that don't click over to the scribed, the written part. Well, sometimes when I'm doing the write-up, it changes so much from the written part that when I have difficulty doing the tags, because it seems like they should have their own separate sets of tags. I know I've gone off somewhere. So just for fun, I thought I would go ahead and record this written bit, and so that you can distinguish and see that there really is something different available in the live videos. Okay, so this is Owning Our Power, Cascading Tumbling Beliefs. I come back to the journal as the last one I did a few moments ago, the last video journal, didn't quite cut it. I still have that full sort of feeling inside, so here I am again. What needs to be said that didn't make it into that last one? Let's find out. Again and again, I come back to taking up our station of power deep within. Heart-centered wandering suits me just fine, since some of the things I encounter would overwhelm the brain or the mind's perspective on things. It's so-called reality. It's not that, for sure. It's not that. Atoms being 99% not there and all that. Reality is truly what we make it, in more ways than any of us now realize. Up to now, we haven't been acknowledging the power within, and we've been looking at life from a mental perspective, yet without all the pieces that are needed to make it real. Well, one of the things I'd say is a major piece we've been missing is this sense of our power. And if we don't acknowledge it, what then? How can any such perspective be real? We set ourselves up this way to play in the dreamland of our creation. Now, I'm going to slip over and say this seems more real going forward. Okay, so we've stepped out of that dreamland a little bit, stripped down somewhat. Let's keep going on. Now, we really don't mean to be wandering in any kind of dreamland. Our intentions are anything but. Nonetheless, when we leave out such important pieces, when we begin without much of a clue as to who am I, where can that lead us? Can it take us anywhere real? I don't think so. That's a major part of what keeps us wandering in the old sleepwalking days. What to do about it? Well, to start, before we take any journey together, do center within. Call it heart, call it soul, call it centered down, or whatever you like, just do it. Start from there. You may even want to say a prayer. I have a lovely all-purpose one you may want to borrow for yourself. I borrowed it from Patricia Corey's work. It goes like this. I am a sovereign being exercising free will as I ascend the spiral of spirit. I intend that the higher purpose be served and that the light prevail. Just that simple. And then We can apply it to anything, to whatever we're doing, to nothing, to everything. It covers so much. It's really quite powerful to marshal your forces, if nothing else, to help you center. So now we've entered the kingdom of heart. Anything at all is possible here. Be aware of that. The only limit is that no limits are possible. None acceptable. If you find yourself sensing any limits at all, just know that you've slipped back into the mind. And don't be upset with yourself either. Just center back down. No big deal. Keep doing that. You'll find, believe it or not, you have infinite patience for it, regardless of what you think of yourself. Remember, you left that self behind to get in here. Be aware of that. You are born new every second and microsecond that you're here. None of the old rules apply. So just let them go. You can pick them up later if you like. For now, just be here without thought. I didn't mean to take so much time laying the groundwork like that, but let's look at it this way. When I do, I take you along with me. You entrain. You might find that it helps you get the feel and the sense of what it's like going within, entering your internal kingdom, your kingdom of heart, where you reign. A new you may not even have properly met. This you, capital Y, that is encountered when you enter this sacred space is a powerful one. The more time we spend with and as this being, the easier our old beliefs, all the old programming falls away. That stuff is not vibrationally compatible with this one that you are now, in the here now. This being is majestic, is magnificent. She can take you on some very fine journeys of discovery. Now, at first, it may be a little uncomfortable. Why is that? Well, when we first enter, we are chock full of stale old beliefs. We are bound roundabout in so many ways. Chains, strings, strands, webbing, yach! Now, how else could it be, considering the days we've been walking around in? How else could we handle the world that it is, but to be half crazed? The world is the lunatic. But for a time, we've thought the inner man was the lunatic, the one who says to us, "You are free." So, though we don't bring our mind in here with us, it doesn't fit, yet still we bring the essence of it, the impression it left. Right now, this first time we enter deeply within, we come laden and loaded with so many lies and false beliefs pinching us roundabout. We can hardly be seen under the load of it. Yet, here we are. We made it. That's a major victory. And why is that? Well, it's the death knell for whole boatloads of those awful beliefs. The vibratory essence we find ourselves bathed in inside is something that's new. Well, it seems new anyway. It's really not, but we won't go into that just now. Instead, let's just stick with what we feel right now. This is your portal to divinity, your very own. This place is graced by the divine. It is sacred space. Yet, we might not be able to sustain our presence, our conscious presence here very long at first. Why is that? Well, maybe because the vibratory rate is so unaccustomed to us. It shakes us up a bit. That and the fact that mind is not yet trained to respect this space and our presence here while it gets left outside the door. So, no matter what, be at peace. Why is that? Peace is in consonance with the inner being that you are. It's a way to center back down. So, no matter what mind brings up, just look at it. If you must, for one day you will simply ignore. And then look away. Don't be drawn in. Stay in your peace. Now, be at peace too with being drawn out of your peace. Now there, mind, what do you think of that? Are you pleasantly pretzeled like my tongue is? Well, enjoy it anyway, regardless. Why not, after all? No matter what arises or seems to come out of nowhere, just stay here. Nowhere equals now here. Get used to doing that. And know that the days of your doing are soon to be gone. So enjoy it while it still seems to be here. You see, coming into this sacred space is really at least half of the journey. Yeah. And once you get there, or here, there's no telling where you'll wind up. Anything is possible. That's the main rule. That one and the reverse of that coin that says there are no limits to be found. These two rules are one. Okay, so at first we get bounced out a lot in spite of our firm desire to stay within. Now that's okay. Be at peace with that. You see, even when you get bounced out, or seemingly so, there's still that peace, that divine peace that's available to you at all times. Now, you won't know this until you've once contacted it. But once you have, then you'll have the sense of it. And if you explore, you'll always find it as close as your breath. Now, this baffles mind for sure. For how can you retain peace when it's bringing you all of this and that for your attention? To mind, it just doesn't make any sense. Peace in the midst of no peace? Well, that's fine. Don't give it a thought. Just know that you can now retain, you can maintain the peace anytime, anywhere, and no matter what. It's divine, remember? Well, divine things are like that. They don't accept any rules but their own. And their rules only empower them. So, as you spend time both in and out of your inner kingdom, make a practice of observing self and of seeing how that peace, capital P, is maintained regardless. It doesn't wear out. It's always there, and you're in it as quick, even quicker than a thought. There you are. It's rather amazing, but you ain't seen anything yet. What is happening during this time of the in and outing is that you're being imprinted with that new vibratory rate, the one found deep within. That is the most special place in all of cosmos for you. Really. One day you may recognize this for yourself. For now, you can just accept that it is. Still, don't enter with expectations. Mind is thoroughly incapable of even beginning to imagine what awaits. Best not to try. It will only limit that. Poor mind. Now, this might lead to a bit of an uncomfortable time in your life. You may wander around in it, not knowing quite what is out of order, yet sensing there's something. Or you may find that this works to look at it this way. You are transferring that inner reality out into your experience of the world, of your world. Do you see? At first, the inner woman doesn't quite fit in with the world as you've created it up to now, the outer world. There are some real vibratory clashes here, and that feels a good bit uncomfortable. It's like your skin doesn't quite fit these days. It can be annoying if you let it. Best advice? Well, just watch and observe. Maybe journal a bit. This new vibratory rate is much higher than what was before. It will tend to burn things off that are at a lower rate, send them up in smoke. Well, this is the territory of your beliefs. That's what the outer world is. It's your very beliefs that are getting burned up and burned off to the extent that you're willing to release them, to just let them go, say goodbye. As you're at your watch post, you're in the best position to observe the goings-on. The intuitions will begin to fly hot and heavy at times. Things will just seem like puzzle pieces falling into place, sometimes so quickly it can be tough to keep up. Don't try. Just watch. Watch the uncomfortable states that come and go with the comfortable ones. Don't get attached to either. Yeah, I kid you not. I'm beginning to recognize the beauty of the discomfort here. I find I could easily get attached to it. Isn't that crazy? Well, only to mind. Heart totally gets it and is unconcerned. So I just watch. Now, some will be tempted to say, watch and wait. No, I don't say that, for there is no waiting at all here. It's always just here now. Nothing else. There is nothing to wait for. There could be nothing else but this. So what is this word wait all about anyway? It loses all meaning. Let it go from your vocabulary. You're in a magical space. The unreality of waiting has been pierced. Watch it die. Say bye-bye. Okay, so we're going in and out a lot. Maybe even beginning to spend some noticeable time within, and that's nice. It feels so good, doesn't it? Well, what I wanted to point out in this journal is how, once a false belief is spotted, like waiting, it can cause a whole cascade of them to come crashing down around your ears. Well, that's what it can feel like anyway. For one thing rests upon another. Beliefs are intertwined. There are little ones and bigger ones that are tightly bound up with others, and ones that seem to stand more on their own. Those are the easy ones to abandon. The very light of the inner being's high frequency will burn these little ones up quickly. You may or may not see them go. More often, what happens is that in a later experience, you notice something is different. You may not be able to put your finger on what has changed. My suggestion is to examine your beliefs around whatever it is that's making you feel strange. Chances are you'll find that that's where the change has taken place. What you once believed in, you now see through. That's the difference. The discomfort is just in the fact that you hadn't noticed the change. You hadn't made it consciously. It crept up on you to deliver this surprise. Once you see this, the discomfort will pass. That's just the mind catching up. So the little beliefs can go easily, making no waves. But then sometimes a bigger belief will take a hit. If it goes down, if you let it go down, then there will be waves. And these are made by all the other beliefs that depended on that one. You may have a whole large structure, sort of like a part of your identity, taking a tumble. Now, that will feel strange. Disconcerting is a good word for this unaccustomed feeling. Things seem out of place somehow, or you do. They don't quite fit. Well now, could this be the mind checking in to see the interchange in beliefs? Could you maybe step back a few paces and just look? What I've learned over time is that all of these uncomfortable feelings are experienced in the mind. This is where it's really good to have stepped well back and to already know you are not the mind. To the extent that you're still identified with mind, you will be made more than uncomfortable. To the extent that you have disidentified, it will just be an adjustment that you watch taking place. Do you see the big difference in that? It's there, be in heart. That is mind's discomfort, not yours. As you have stepped back from thinking you are the mind, you are not made so uncomfortable by it. Instead, you recognize that feeling as emanating from mind. You can merely observe. It's rather enjoyable, actually. You are empowered by this distance, this not identifying with the short-sightedness of mind. Do you see why now we take time to be sure we're centered before we enter or embark on such experiences as this? If we were in the everyday mind sort of state, the beta brainwave thing, we could feel now like we were in a roller coaster on a wild ride. These things tend to shake mind up, but not the real you. You are capable, able to simply observe. You're on no roller coaster. You are serene, even in the midst of this. Now, the inside and the outside of your experience, these are becoming one, becoming more tightly woven together. Once dominated by the outside view, you're not that anymore. Yet, as the inner man takes over, begins to come out, there will be the dissonance at first. These worlds don't yet equate, but they can. One day they will if you persist. Right now, as this inner man, you may feel a bit shaky. It's unaccustomed as yet. You don't really know this one very well yet. It feels strange to walk in these footsteps, to look down and to see that they are yours. It's all so very odd for a time, yet also enjoyable, at least for me, or at least later on. Your outer persona will become more and more shaken up by this. It's feeling taken over, and rightfully so. All this time, it has thought itself right to believe this or that, assuming the rightness of each position, each perspective it took. Now it's finding out that things are not just different, but vastly different from what it had believed. It's a shaky walk, for the mind cuts right to the heart of it. As we stick to the watch and observe position, we'll be able to step back more and more from the mind. And by doing that, we're able to observe that it's really just the mind being made so uncomfortable by things as they transpire. It's really just the mind's ideas about life that are being shaken up. That inner peace is always there, even in the midst of all this seeming chaos. I'd say to let that inner peace be your anchor in the storm, the many storms as they come up. Train yourself to just know that peace is always there for you. Believe in this. It will stand you in good stead. Besides, you are now in process of choosing beliefs for yourself. No more will you let yourself be programmed as in the old way. That life is over for you. Never again. So, even in the midst of the seeming chaos, which would have shaken the old you up, take a moment now and then to celebrate. Lock on to that peace and breathe a prayer, the thought of gratitude to Source for this. That peace will enable this sacred prayer to flow forth. It sounds crazy, simply nuts to the mind to offer gratitude in the midst of its pain, for to the mind, confusion is pain. Yet, there you go. That peace, being divine, is just that powerful. Mind is overwhelmed, but the peace will never be that. You can take the peace for your own being for a time. Identify with that. And you'll know when it's time, if it ever is, to move beyond that. Meanwhile, this is your sure anchor in all storms. You will say peace to the waves, and they will subside. Check it out.